Sejahtera. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Salam bersih. Salam bersih. Now, I'm not just going to talk about elections, free and fair elections, though I will. I do want to also talk about governance to some extent. But before I talk about governance, I want to wish all the women here happy International Women's Day. I am a great believer that in about 10 years we will see the first woman Prime Minister of Malaysia. It could come from someone within this hall, don't you think? Someone wearing blue, I think. Now, and one thing about women, I think our leaders and politicians should not underestimate the power of women and the power of women to make change, to make a difference. Now, Mark Twain said something to the effect of loyalty to the country always, loyalty to the government only if they deserve it. And this goes both for Barisan Nasional and Pakatan. The reason I mention this is because this morning in the New Straits Times, our Defence Minister, Datuk Sri Zahid Hamidi, spoke to the military personnel, and he said, military personnel must remain professional and loyal to the government. Now, first of all, that's a contradiction in terms. If you're professional, then you're loyal to only king and country. What shocked me though was that no less than a minister doesn't understand that the military's allegiance lies with king and country. That is my concern with the leaders presently in this country. They have forgotten some of the core issues, core values that are absolutely essential if you want to be a leader. Of course, we all know about integrity and transparency and so on. Yes, of course. I'm talking about more than that. The core values of a democracy. First of all, understanding what is a democracy. I don't think many of our leaders actually understand what it means. What they forget is that this idea of loyalty to a government, I don't buy that idea. It is loyalty to the country that is a must. And we are all loyal citizens of this country, make no mistake. No matter who we vote for. And they must also understand that loyalty is earned. It is not demanded, and it is certainly not bought. But loyalty to the country is a must. Now, during the Bersih movement, we were often accused of being disloyal to the country. They don't understand the word loyalty. They don't understand who loyalty should be owed to. Now, the other thing that they don't seem to understand is that the government money is Rakyat's money. They think it's theirs. They think it's their piggy bank, you know? And our leaders think they're Santa Claus because they, go around giving out this money to anybody. If they can ensure a vote, they're out there giving out the Rakyat's money. As if it was the government that is being generous. But without making the point that this is the Rakyat's money and that actually they act in breach of trust when they use that money for the sole purpose of buying votes. Now the other concept they seem to have a problem with, core issue I'm talking about, is conflict of interest. Why is that so difficult to understand? I don't get it. When ministers' spouses benefit, why is it they don't get it that it is still a conflict of interest? Never mind how the money was spent subsequently. The very fact that a spouse of a minister can get a contract or can get some benefit is already a conflict of interest. Now, these are basic issues that many people seem to have a problem grappling. They think it's fine to say, look, I'm the spouse, I had nothing to do with it, and that absolves them of any responsibility. Is that right? So that's another worry for me, that some of our leaders don't understand conflict of interest. Now, of course, the other thing is where they put personal interest above the interest of public service. To me, that's also a core issue that politicians should be aware of. And then there's question of accountability, taking responsibility, being responsible as a leader. One example of that is the Linus issue. Yes? Now, until the residents made a huge fuss, the government didn't see fit to look into the issues that were raised as to safety. Now, there is a problem, as far as I'm concerned, with Linus, and it is this. I'm not against the technology. I have scientists telling me this is a wonderful technology. But the problem is this. It is in the waste management, it is in the waste disposal. And the problem lies in the fact that although our scientists, government agencies, come out and say it is safe, we don't believe them, do we? No. We don't believe them. And I actually said this to some of them, and I said, it may not be your fault, but because the institutions in this country has been so badly undermined that people don't believe anything you all say. So it is a problem with credibility. But apart from that, with Linus, it's a question of how they went about proceeding with the project, how they issued the temporary operating license. And don't think this is a problem just for Kuala. We're a waterlogged nation, we have rivers, toxic waste carriers. I'm not being alarmist, I just think people should read and make up their own minds. But the point is this. The cabinet suddenly comes out and one of the ministers says, oh, we will tell them to ship it back. When I read that, I was so embarrassed. Because it showed that our ministers don't have a clue. They fail to understand the problem at all. The precise reason why Linus is coming here is because they don't want the waste in Australia. So what I'm saying is that our ministers don't even educate themselves about such an important issue. Now, why is the government reacting now? And I'm sorry, I'm cynical, all right? Because elections are nearly upon us. But that's all right. Let's make it an election issue. Let's find out from the MPs, from our MPs, what they think about Linus, and then vote accordingly. For a start, find out whether they know anything about it, because it's very possible they don't. They haven't been reading the national newspapers. Now, again, the problem with Linus is the way in which they have proceeded. They never bothered to consult. the people of Kuantan. Only now they're coming out with information. It's a bit late. I even asked somebody, look, no matter what you say, I ask you one question. Will you live in Gebeng? Will you? Would you put your children there? I won't. I won't. Because after the Bukit Merah incident, after the Rao mining incident, do you know about that? Do you know that there's a disaster there too? Where they use cyanide for gold mining purposes? I didn't know that until I went to Kuantan for Perhimpunan Hijau, and then I began to hear about the environmental disasters that are taking place. Not to mention the dam issues in East Malaysia. That's another disaster. Those are other issues. But what does all that tell you? Does the leadership value the lives of the people, the health of the people, above and beyond the money that is being made? And I can tell you, you and I are not making the money. All right? It's tax-free for liners for 12 years, so we're not making a thing. People of Kuantan are not making anything. They say they want to employ 400 people. That's it. Provided Malaysians are prepared to take the job, that's all they may be getting. So who's gaining? I don't know. Who's making the money? I don't know. I know liners is, right? A lot of money. So ultimately, but they're not open about these things, you see. We don't know. What is the benefit? What is it you're saying? Why is it so absolutely necessary that this project must go through? So, make liners an election issue. The matter is in court, I know, but make it an election issue. Now, apart from that, I want to talk about what Kit Siang spoke about just now. And by the way, he's a really tough act to follow, okay? It wasn't fair to put me after him. Now, he spoke about standards of behavior, about decency. And this is what civil society feels. Suddenly, we are confronted with filthy language, with racist rhetoric, with religious extremism, thuggish behavior. I'm horrified at what Nurul Izzah had to face. And of course, there's blatant vote buying that's going on. But looking at this behavior, is it acceptable to Malaysians? Please tell me that. Is it acceptable? No. Malaysians are decent people. How dare they offend our sense of decency? How dare they? And who's doing it? Who's doing it? I mean, is this how they intend to win the hearts and minds of the people? They sure have a funny way of going about it, okay? Because it's not by thuggery that you win the hearts and minds of the people. So, what do they think they're doing? Frightening us? Are you afraid to go out and vote? No. You must never be afraid to go out and vote. So what is the point of this thuggish behavior? It's to stop Nurul Izzah from gaining a few more thousand fans than she already has. Is that the aim? Or, as Nurul Izzah says, it's fear. And in fact, Aung San Suu Kyi said, very famously, it is not power that corrupts, but fear of losing power that corrupts.